Okay, everybody, welcome back to Transport Fever 2. This is Jason from CasualT Gaming. We are picking up where we left off here in our free play game, and we're looking at ways to connect Salinas, Washington, Tampa, and Bellevue. And I think that what we might want to do, I believe I discussed in the last episode, is make Corpus Christi kind of our transport hub here. We do have the ability, perhaps, to grow Corpus Christi even further on its own via the goods factory right here. And we need steel, which we've got coal and more coal. We've also got a steel factory over here. This might actually be more useful as a steel factory. And then we need a chemical factory, which we've got one down here, and we do have an ability to provide that with feedstock, and we just need an oil well. Unfortunately, not really seeing an oil well around here. Maybe there is oil over here, and we can always truck it, or train it, send a train across with oil. That is a long distance, but it could be very profitable. And we do have a number of oil wells that we can use to feed into this refinery. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Sorry about that. Let's focus on getting Corpus Christi up to speed with all of these different connection points. We have 23.5 million. We have a loan of 25 million, so we still have $5 million we can borrow if we need to. Let's hope we don't. And let's pick which of these cities we're going to go with as our next destination. Well, it's certainly looking like Washington is a good choice. Washington also wants construction materials, which we have a construction material plant and we have a quarry. So the fact that both of these cities want construction materials, maybe that's one other way that we can grow Corpus Christi with using construction materials that we're going to create for Washington. All right, but first off, let's start with making our train station. And since we do kind of want to factor in the possibility of a train that drops off here and then continues on with construction material, I'm leaning towards putting a train station on this side of town. But okay, so we've got commercial and industrial over here. So if we put the train station somewhere in this area, it'll make it fairly easy for us to drop off materials over here and then continue on the train. From here, I think I'm also going to... No, I think I will let them continue to just use this road connection between Washington and Salinas if they want to go direct, and I will let them use this as a train connection to pass through here. And Tampa's just way out here in the corner, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to send anybody over here. We could send logs to this, so I'm going to use Bellevue. Since Bellevue and Tampa do both want tools, I'm going to use this as the connector between those two. So it'll be Corpus to Bellevue to Tampa. And we'll leave Washington kind of just with a connection to Corpus Christi via rail. So we'll do high speed, and we'll do one track, I think, for passengers. Because, no, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 tracks for passengers, and I am going to add rails to that other side. And then I'm going to add in the cargo platform as well. So let's go ahead and spend some money and configure this. Speaking of which, I'm going to let the game run in the background so that we can continue to bring some cash in. And this cargo platform is so that I don't forget to put it in here later. This might be interesting too, to put a separate cargo building with a separate cargo station, as opposed to the tram station that I'm planning to put in. That's going to connect here, except it doesn't because this is a stupid passenger building. We have to make it a nice passenger building in order to even get anything to want to connect. And I'm sure there is a way to make it connect, but I'm just not interested right now. I'm just wasting the time to find it. We do want it to be electric because we're going to make it a tram since the city is big enough. And then we are going to give it a street access. Yeah, I think over here makes sense because what we'll do is we'll create a separate cargo platform, which doesn't need to be that big, off of here. And we'll build this street in. Such a way that it doesn't interfere. And we'll put our tram depot in here right now before we forget it. And a road depot on this side for the same reason, before we forget it. And actually, I am going to go ahead and upgrade all these to the medium because I want the trams to be at their maximum speed. And Washington's a nice shaped city for what we're about to do. But I feel like right here could be a good drop-off point if we put in one of our crossing stations. And we'll only make it 20 meters long. And yeah, this building is gonna have to go away. I understand that's terrible for you, but such is progress. And we'll finish off the street. Nope. Okay, let's put in some tram stations. We're gonna have a tram here and a tram here. And then we're gonna have a tram on this side of town because we don't want to neglect this residential area. And then we're gonna build 2 lines. We're gonna build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, not 5. 5 and 6. And this will be Washington Tram. Oh, what orientation did I get ourselves into? That will be Washington Tram South. And then we will have a new line that goes from here to here to here to here and back again. And this will be Washington Tram North. And let's get some trams going. Let's start with 2 of these each. And we'll see just how busy they get. Especially since we don't know exactly what the train situation is going to look like yet. I am going to go ahead and build out the tracks. Let's see. Which tracks are we using right now here over in Corpus? We're using the number 1 and the number 5. So any of these 3 in the middle. I think number 2 is going to go to Salinas. I think number 3 is going to go to Washington, and then number 4 can go to Bellevue. So we're going off of track number 3. Now, here's something that I saw other people doing and I want to try and replicate, which is We've got track 2. That's going to go north. We also have track 4 going off to the north. And even though they're going to separate and they're going to go off in their own directions, I want to make sure that we can cross over from one to the other. And we'll make some double slip switches in here that will make that happen. For some reason, this was built as a non-high-speed line. Don't know why. It's definitely long enough to be a high-speed line. To see the benefits of being a high-speed line. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll see what kind of train we got running on it. Okay, that's not terrible. Not a huge demand right now, but Corpus Christi is growing and already has bricks, the construction materials, and we just need to hook it up to a few more destinations. Well, we're going to hook it up to Washington, D.C. right now. So let's see. Washington, leaving the station. We're going to use track 3 just because it, I think, gives us a little bit of flexibility to stay on this side of the rail or on this side of the road. We'll go ahead and do that. So that we've got our crossover with the freight train. And then, yeah, we're going to kind of just stick to this side of the road. It's a silly road. Lots of curves in it for no reason. Here's where we will make our connection. And what we'll do is down here, we'll make sure that we do connect over to our freight line as well. Nope, need to extend this out just a little bit further. Alright, and then some signaling so that everyone knows which direction we need to go. All right, new line, Washington to Corpus Christi. And where do we have a train depot? Not anywhere nearby. So we're gonna build one right here. And do I feel like doing something kind of silly and trying to make it so that it can connect to all of these? I might do that just because I think that right here would work. No, it wouldn't, because we're actually sending that line. We're sending those two lines north. So no, that would actually very much interfere. But here it might work. Alright, so what kind of passenger liner are we going to do? We're going to do Suburban. And we're going to... Suburban can go up to 62 miles an hour. JF is 50. I think it's not as hard to pull a train, so we're going to... Or pull a passenger train. So we're going to go ahead and use the Russian S. And that's going to be CC Washington passenger train. And there's our new vehicle rolling out. Alright, that's one. I think that's awesome. I think this is kind of the standard train I've been building lately. Alright, next up is Salinas, right? Yes, because Newport News is already attached. Salinas wants tools and fuel oil. And I wish there was an oil refinery up here somewhere. We would be able to totally tap into it. But good, the train was able to make it over to its track. It looks like it's running correctly in the two directions. That's going to be beautiful. Alright, Salinas, what kind of situation are we? We're in residential to the east side, northeast side, and industrial / commercial to the southwest side, which is perfect because that's where we want to put our train station. In this case, we are going to put in a passenger terminus station, 160 high speed with a catenary. I'm going to go ahead and put into, although I'm really doubting that I'm ever going to build the train from Salinas to Washington. It just seems like such a short distance to run a train, and it seems a little silly. But let's just go ahead and do 2 for argument's sake. And we'll just connect it up directly to the street here. And let's get our tracks laid so that we can build out crossovers. And then we'll lay out our track down to Corpus, which is already set up here. We'll get line 1 and line 2 going. And it is a pretty straight shot. We'll take it. That's not actually what I wanted to do. Okay, well, I think I know how to solve it. We're going to put a weight on this side, and what we'll do is we'll make sure that this becomes terminal 2 when we build our line from Salinas to Corpus Christi. And I think that'll work. We'll go ahead and put in a few of our signals to hold here and hold here. And then we'll go ahead and use our train depot, and we'll buy that same. Oh, darn. I have to borrow a little cash. $6.680. What? Oh. Maintenance cost hit me right at the wrong time. Alright, and now let's go ahead and speed up the game so that we can start to see things happening. Salinas doesn't really have a way to get here, but we're going to go ahead and fix that. We're going to use a bus stop. This one does cover those folks. I'm going to put this over here as a reflex. And there. And this will be the Salinas bus. CCW, just, I know we don't have a clockwise line yet, but we may. And get the bus going, and the train ran empty, which is a little disappointing, but hey, it is what it is. We got to get started somewhere. And we have our first passengers waiting. One or two in each one of these stops. Okay, that's a very interesting way that they go and start off the the route, but okay. We'll let it be what it is. And we'll start to see what happens. We are making money. We can tell we're making money. We have a lot of people waiting on the north side tram going towards the annex. So north side tram, we're going to go ahead and give you one more vehicle. Because we weren't able to pick up anybody from there. And we've got a nice number waiting for the train. That's awesome. Oh, I messed that up, didn't I? Very much so messed that up. Yeah, that's way more optimized. Okay, so we're still not able to pick the people up from there because it's filling up over at this station instead. Okay, so Washington North, we're going to replace our 3 vehicles with these Moscow ones that hold twice as many folks. No electric path. We're going to pause real quick because there should always be an electric path. But it's our station. And that should fix that. These trains were not replaced. Or at least that one wasn't. I don't know why the other 2 were. That was kind of random. Let's see how much demand there is to go over to Salinas. Oof. That's almost... Yeah, that's almost as much as want to stay in the city. So I think we are going to build that train line after all. As soon as we get a little bit more money in the bank, we're going to go ahead and build that train line so that we can start taking some of these people off the road and putting them on our train instead. That train's running profitably. That's wonderful news. We just picked up a few folks from that station. We should have another tram or 2 running. Yep, we got one with a couple of people on it. And a few over there that are going to get picked up. Got 8 people on board. We can take 16 more of you. Half of you get to go. That's not bad. I think we're going to go ahead, and since Washington is getting pretty big, we're going to go ahead and swap out these vehicles as well. No electric path. Pause. That's so random that that didn't get electrified when the rest of the route did. Oh well, it'll let us carry a few more, and it'll let us carry them faster, generally speaking. So we're all in for that. We had 76 people waiting to get on this train, a train which only holds 50 something. So let's tack on one more Suburban before we load up, and we'll go with that. We got a full load back to Corpus Christi. Nice. All right, $8 million. I think we can start working on this train over to Salinas since it is so popular. Such a popular destination. And unlike the silly road network, we're going to take a much more direct route. And I don't want to do that yet. I want to build here to my cheapest. All right, and then here's where it's going to get interesting. I actually have the inner track. I'm going to do that one first. Oh, I probably need to build this out to that length first before it'll let me sister up with these other tracks. Or will it never let me sister up with these other tracks? Let's see if this works. All right, so here's where I made the mistake. In building this, I have two platforms and two lines. I wanted one platform to kind of split off a rail along the side and run to, but what happened was when I created the line, when I brought it in from Corpus Christi, I did the two parallel here and then ended up crossing them over. What I might do instead, since there is only one train running right now, I might move that crossover. Yeah, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that crossover out to here. And we're going to delete this cross. Okay. So what should happen now is any trains should be running this way, and I don't actually need them to continue on to this line. Let's rebuild that. So what I want is this rail to connect up to here, this rail to hit this corner and then merge in, perfect. And then this rail to come along as far as possible before it also merges down to there. And let's establish some signals to wait and to wait. And then that, I think, gets us, yeah, the two stations that we want. And these signals are probably too close to each other. Oh, that one's going the wrong way. And then this side, wait for the other train to get by. All right, I think that gets us what we want, which is a Washington to Salinas. And if I did not connect, which I didn't, but I'm going to, stay a little something here. Nope, not gonna fit. I don't want to build another train depot if I can avoid it. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna buddy up to this line here. Stick that in there, and we'll make that a double slip just to be safe. And then we'll go back here and we'll buy our train. And we do have enough cash for it right now. Oop, that's the tram. There's the train. 1, 2, 3 with a Russian S-Class. That'll be Salinas, Washington passenger train, and hopefully it's smart enough to figure out the route to go through Washington and not straight ahead. Yes, it looks like it's smart enough to go to Washington first. Make sure all the terminals came out correct. Yep. And yep. Perfect. So hopefully we can get some of these people who are going over to Salinas from Washington, since that was a huge demand. Demand for Salinas is 206 people. Let's get them on our train. Salinas over to Washington is another 191 people. So let's get them on the train. I may just break this. I said I wasn't going to do it last time, and I'm trying to stick to that, but I need these trains to run profitably. I need to make some money back. So let's go ahead and repay everything we've borrowed this episode just to reduce our interest costs for now. But I think we're actually making some really good progress. Salinas to Corpus Christi has a good amount of usage. Not so much the other way around. Newport News has a lot of people who want to go to. So we're going to go ahead and add another suburban. Get this thing moving. And we've got our nice big hub here in Corpus Christi. With quite a number of people who want to go to all these different locations. That's wonderful. Again, we still haven't done anything south of the river, and for now I'm going to focus on tying in all the towns and cities north of the river. What we may end up doing is a Washington to New Orleans or Washington to Independence high-speed rail once that becomes available, because those look like a good choice. All right. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it a night here. We've got Salinas and Washington hooked up. Our next target is going to be Bellevue, and then Bellevue to Tampa before we go ahead and get started with the goods trains. Connecting Bellevue and Tampa in the next episode will finish our, let's call it, northern half connections. Everything north of the river will be connected to to everything else really north of the river. So that will be great, and then we'll need to figure out we'll need to decide what we want to do about south of the river. We'll probably start tying everything together, and based on what we just said about Independence being the biggest city down here, we might just try to tie everything back to Independence. Concord to Independence, Anaheim through New Orleans to Independence, and then do that high-speed rail between Independence and Washington to link the two sides of the river. It's odd because it'll be the furthest. It'll be kind of the least or the most distance, I guess is the way I would put it, that to link north and south of the river. But it probably will also generate a lot of traffic and a lot of demand for a high-speed rail. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been Jason with CasualT Gaming. Thank you please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.